Hoosier Prepping Nurse. That's me, Sally. I am going to dry some of my sourdough starter. That way I can have it in case for some odd reason my actual starter that I'm using dies out. If I get sidetracked or have to go away for a few days, I can stick it in the refrigerator and then just feed it once a week if you want to. But I'm just going to try and dry it just so I can have some for future. Or if I want to give some to a friend. You know, this could actually be a good barter item. I never thought of that before. But this could be a really good barter item because you don't need yeast then whenever you're making something. So this is pretty runny. They want you to get it as thin as possible. It may take a little bit extra time for it to dry out, but I am willing to wait on it. As I said, the instructions that I read were to thin it out as much as possible. Let me get this whole thing here. And you can even lay a towel on top of it. I would wait until it dries just a little bit on it, otherwise your towel is going to stick to it. And how long it takes to dry depends upon your environment, how runny this is. I'm willing to just let it go for a couple of days before I try and peel it off. And once it is dry, I am going to try part of it just to make sure that I can restart it. Because if not, no sense in keeping it, is there? If you've got active sourdough that you're tending to, you are to feed it every 12 hours, what time it's at room temperature. And what I do is 1 cup of flour to 1/2 cup of water. I use filtered water. I've had better luck with that. I've tried to create sourdough in the past, starter, and for some reason it just never took. And whenever I tried it this past summer, I actually gave up on it for a couple of years. Whenever I tried to create it this summer, I did unbleached flour, I did whole wheat flour, and I did filtered water with it. And you know what? It worked out beautifully. Whereas before I was using bleached flour and I was using bleached flour and my tap water that has got chlorine in it. So I'm going to go set this away someplace, just let it dry out for a couple of days, and then I'll bring you back and let you see what it looks like. Okay, so the sourdough starter has been drying for about 3 days. It's been kind of humid here, so it did take that long. It's got a nice crispy snap to it whenever you break it. And the idea of doing this is for long-term storage. That way, if I don't want to keep my starter up or for some odd reason it dies on me, then I've got where I can start it easily again. So to restart the starter, to rehydrate it or revive it, you want to do 1 ounce of it in at least a pint-sized jar. And this could actually be quite a bit here. Right now we're only at a 1/2 ounce. So, and what I'm gonna do is get my mortar and pedestal out and then break this. I'm gonna pour this into here because my scale went off. I'm just going to break some up in here. This is the jar that I'm going to end up storing it in. You want to put it in a tightly sealed jar. And I may even back seal it. It should be stored in a cool place, dark cool place, at least where direct sunlight can't get to it. Let me go grab my mortar and pedestal here. And I'm just going to kind of finely chop this up. Or grind it up, I should say. This has got kind of a ridged center to it. I forget where I got this. I got it at one of the little festivals, fall festivals. I really like this one. I've got a marble one also, but this one's my favorite because it does have that ridges on the inside. I don't know if you can see. It's right there. That makes it nice to grind the herbs up against, and even this. Because you put 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, which I've got in this white cup here, over it, and it should cover it. You might have to tap it, the starter down some. And we'll let this set with the water on it for about 4 hours. Turn my scale back on here and zero out my dish and see. We're up. Oh, there's 1 ounce right there. Get these up there. Just kind of, let me just pour this 1/4. And then you just want to kind of pat it down a little bit just to make sure that it's all submerged. And then we will be back in about 4 hours. I'm going to go ahead and break the rest of this up and we'll see what consistency this is. Okay, so the starter, oops, let me get my dishwasher closed here. The starter is really nice and liquidy and smooth. There's no big clumps left in it. So what we're going to do is add about 1/4 cup of flour. The best is all-purpose flour, unbleached all-purpose flour, which I don't have because I use my unbleached bread flour for this. So let me just put that in here. We will get it mixed up. And then I'll just put cheesecloth over the top of it and put this, actually I'm going to put it up on top of my refrigerator. It should be in about 80 to 85 degree temp, and my house is definitely not that warm. So during the summertime it probably would be, but not here. So we're going to let this rest for 24 hours. It is about 8 p.m. on Saturday night, so I will come back tomorrow about 8 p.m. I'll keep taking a peek at it and see how it's doing. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it starts bubbling up, which means that it's been activated. Oh, just to let you know that whenever I had put the water on it, it took about 1.5 hours for it to dissolve, but I did stir it a couple of times. I have always been told that you don't want to use a metal utensil with it. I know some people do, and they apparently get good results, but I've always used wooden or a plastic spatula or spoon with it. So I'll bring you guys back tomorrow. It's been 24 hours since I activated my starter, and I don't know if you can see the little bubbles or what looks like little black specks. That is actually the gas bubbles, so this did work, and I do have bubbling on the side. So what I'm going to do now is not take any of it out. I am going to add 1/4 cup of the flour and 1/4 cup of lukewarm water. I always use the filtered. In the past, whenever I tried to start the starter, and I was using my tap water, which at that time I had a company that it was actually well water that they processed. So I'll be honest with you, I don't know what all they put into it, but I could never get the starter to work. So whenever I tried it this last year, doing it myself, I use the filter water and it's worked great ever since. So I'm going to do that, and then I will bring you back tomorrow and let you see it. It'll be 48 hours at that point. And then I believe, and I'll have to double check the instructions, but I believe that after tomorrow is whenever we start the every 12 hours and feeding it. Okay, so I have got my half a cup of lukewarm water. I put it in my microwave for about 12 seconds for a half a cup of it. I've got my 1 cup of flour, and I'm just going to go ahead and dump this in. I'm going to stir it around in here. And then add, and I'm probably going to make a little bit of a mess here with this. And put about half of it in. Get it stirred up here. Okay, so not exactly quite half of it. There we go. And I will bring you back in 12 hours, let you take a look at this. You can do this anytime you have extra starter, the discard. And this might actually be a good thing to share with your friends to get them into making it, or eventually if you wanted to barter with somebody for it, because this actually takes the place of yeast. It is a yeast. It's a wild yeast. One thing you never want to do if you think your starter is not really progressing, do not add commercial starter to it, what you buy in the stores, yeast, because that will overtake the wild yeast and it will just ruin it. Okay, I have got this pretty well mixed up here. My hands are clean, by the way. I did wash them before I started this. And I will probably find a different jar to put this in. But this is what I had available right now. So there we go. I'll put the lid back on it. We will wait 12 hours. I'll bring you back, show you what it looks like then. This is what the dried yeast, or the dry starter looks like in it. I would like to get quite a bit more. It takes an ounce, and actually an ounce of this is quite a bit. Maybe whenever I bring you back, I will measure out an ounce just to show you how much it does take for it. We will see you in just a little bit. Hoosier Prepping Nurse, that's me, Sally. Today's video is about dehydrating sourdough starter and reactivating it. Purpose on dehydrating it is it's for long-term storage. That way you don't have to tend to it. You can use it as barter. You can gift it to friends. You can break it out whenever you want to. You don't have to do those every 12-hour feedings or even a once a week feeding to it. What you do to restart it is simply crumble it up, put in 1/4 cup of lukewarm water, let that dissolve, and then you can start feeding it. You start out with 1/4 cup of water and 1/4 cup of your flour. Usually it's an unbleached all-purpose flour or unbleached bread flour, but any wheat flour will work. Just works better if it hasn't been bleached. And in the video, you'll see how much it grows. I'm going to leave a link to where I got the instructions from, which was King Arthur's flour. And I hope you enjoy this, that you'll give it a thumbs up, and that you'll subscribe and hit that little bell for notifications. Y'all have a good day and just keep moving forward.